Hello everyone and welcome back to SGTV. Today we are in our brand new refurbished studio and we have returning guests on the show in Theo Webster and Simon Bell. I'd like to point out though that the reason we're late is because Theo wanted to go to the gym before he got here.
And haircut.
And haircut, yeah.
Oh, no, we won't mention hair.
Why won't we mention hair, Simon? Well, let's rewind. It's been 5 years since we've had you both on the show, and it was never actually in person. This was back in COVID, wasn't it? We did a house party app.
It was bad.
Nightmare.
Yeah, and I seem to remember you having a lot less hair for that one.
Only because I cut my hair.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No. Well, that's the thing now. I mean, he's got less hair and I've got more hair.
Yeah.
But it's both been paid for, really.
Well, yeah.
But you just had
mine in
haircut.
hard work and his in cash. Yeah.
So it shows you must be doing well.
No, I
then.
don't mean you're going bolder. I mean, you've had a haircut today.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Mine
If
was a
you-
bit cheaper. Yeah.
If you look at your hairdo back then, you had a good head of hair. As in, you
That's
don't
'cause it was
shave,
COVID,
you don't
mate.
shave the back of it.
You got more than me. That's all I can say. But yeah, going back 5 years, we had you in on that house party thing. So did you guys know each other back then?
No,
Or was
no.
that the first time you'd spoken to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you've just become friends
Yeah,
from
we keep
then?
in touch. Don't
Yeah,
we? It's like,
yeah.
and then whenever I catch Billy at a show, I get a mandatory photograph and send it to you, Simon. All right.
So you've met each other in person before, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So McDonald's, wasn't it?
Yeah, McDonald's, yeah.
So we were like the Cilla Black kind
yeah,
of.
in a way,
Blind
yeah.
date.
Yeah. It's
My
quite,
date's getting younger.
but it is quite strange, really, because although we don't, I mean, you live so far away, I think if we were closer, we would, probably hang out or probably even give each other's hand on jobs and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
definitely. Yeah.
You know, it's like I always watch and follow Theo anyway on what he's doing on his Instagram. I'm not as much on social media nowadays, but obviously Theo has just gone from strength to strength, really.
You were
So,
saying the figures before we started filming. So back then, you were saying you'd got like 400 or 500 followers. So I think you'd got a similar amount.
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
And now how many are you up to?
I'm creeping up to 22,000 on Instagram.
Not a bad jump, is it?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, the last sort of 12 months has been a bit crazy. Yeah, but
Good crazy or?
yeah. It's not. It's like I think I've just put a little bit more time to it. Don't get me wrong. I've got no idea what I'm doing.
Social media or industry?
No, industry. I'm fine with the industry. Yeah, social media is like an absolute minefield. I think, and it's constantly evolving and changing. So, fair play to the people who do it full time. But it's it's another interesting avenue to the business for sure. So.
Well, I'm pleased that, you've managed to spark up a bit of a friendship and keep in touch since that really dodgy video
It's
we did
quite good
5 years ago.
I think I re-watched what we did last night just to sort of see what we spoke about, and I remember Theo said on it, he mentioned about social media, and you were sort of saying, "Oh, I don't really know what I'm doing on it," and blah blah blah. But you look back then 5 years and where he's come to now. Like I say, I think I had about 500 followers on me. I think I even said I got more followers on the mountain bike site than I'd had on the electrical site. And Theo had probably similar. Well, I've got less now. Theo's got like 20,000. But I think what it helps with the social media is because I've noticed another guy that I know in Derby, and he's not the best electrician in the world, but he literally, he'll put something up like every hour, every half hour. And I think that's the key to it. I think the key to it is not putting a post up once a day or every other day.
You got to be consistent.
I think the post is people want to see what you're doing by hourly.
Yeah.
But it can add to your income, can't it? Because, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but we've had people in who have stopped working for their employer. They've gone self-employed, and a massive portion of their income now is coming through socials, and then that's added on to engage, what do you call it, influencer agreements and sponsorships, and it's another world. You go back 10 years, it wasn't really a thing for this industry, was it?
Definitely not.
Yeah,
So
you don't really realise it until you start talking to brands. Some of these their marketing budgets are massive.
Oh yeah, massive.
And they're willing to chuck some decent money at you to do
30-second video.
Literally, it's insane. Yeah, it is crazy when you get down to the nitty gritty.
Have you gone up down that route? Have you?
I've done quite a few bits. Yeah, and it's it's one of those things. I think most people who do it don't like to talk about the financial side of it. But yeah, it definitely is quite lucrative if you're
growing your business and your brand. Why shouldn't you do it?
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a form of income, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a form of income for you.
Yeah.
You know, and if you are able to do that while you're working, then more for it. The only thing I didn't, when it first started, because obviously I'm quite a bit older than Theo, there's the...
I'm laughing.
Hopefully in a year's time...
How much older, sorry?
In a year's time, I'll look more, I think. But what got me was... I think, because like you say, that wasn't a thing at all, the YouTube channels and all this lot, was the more the domestic side. You seem to find that it was all domestic. You know, a lot of the people who's coming up through social media was all domestic. And I just thought to myself, with the domestic side, there's not that much you can really go into. And what that's actually one of the reasons why I started to... I know we met on the house party through this, but what made me watch or look at Theo more was what he did and the fact that he does more industrial or commercial type, you know. And I thought to myself, well, do you know what? You're showing what electricians are doing, not just chopping a wall out and putting a socket in, because that's done by anybody. When you're doing your conduits and all stuff like that, and your trunkings and you're making your bends, that's back to when I learnt. So when I was, you know, an apprentice, 9 times out of 10 we couldn't buy manufactured bends. You had to make one, and that's what you got taught. And for Theo being a lot younger but actually making the bends, I was like, you know, this guy is worth watching.
I think you'll have seen it as well, Simon. With like most contracts now will stipulate you use prefabricated bends. I think that's why content like that does quite well. It's because, you know, lads and that coming up, and ladies coming up through college and that, they're not really seeing it. They're not seeing fabrication of trunk in, tray and all that, because on site now you're just buying prefabricated.
Yeah, they just screw them together, don't they?
Yeah, and I think that's why that sort of thing does quite well. You know, the old skill that is in the trade.
And it is a skill. It's an absolute skill to know how to make bends in trunk and tray.
Yeah. I've seen people on site, you know, time after time. That's not right. That's not right. There's craft to that. There's skill to
we
that.
do substations, and now we buy angle bends for conduit, and I hate buying them. Yeah, inspection bends for conduit, and I'm like, lads, you should be making these. You know what I mean? And then they're saying, oh, can you get me some more bends? And I'm like, you've got a conduit bender because you need it for threading the conduit. At least do a bend, but they'll not do the job and wait for this bend to come. And I'm thinking, you know, but to see somebody like yourself who started to do that, I thought, you know, it's really good.
Yeah, I suppose it is a window for people, like you say, if they started out looking at electricians on social media, and it started off there was only domestic, and you're not familiar with the industry, that's your only view into that industry. And then you're watching people like yourself, Theo, come in who are showing what you can do. You're going out onto industrial sites, commercial sites. It's a different work style. It's, you know, it can pay different. It can take you anywhere, can't it? I mean, so we're Midlands, where we are at Scolmore HQ. You're from Devon, but you've not come to us from Devon. You've come to us from Middlesbrough today because of where you're contracting.
Yeah.
So you're all over the shop.
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah.
And you're enjoying that?
I do enjoy it. Yeah, you know, it's throughout, I've been self-employed for nearly 10 years now, and I think most of my career I've travelled quite a bit all over the UK, and I do enjoy it. It's not for everyone. Yeah. And you know, and there's. Yeah, it's hard with family life and whatever else, but it's I do enjoy it because certainly down in Devon, that high-end, large-scale commercial work, it's there, but it's really limited. So you need to come up sort of, you know, Midlands to really sort of get involved in that kind of work. Okay. But yeah, so I enjoy it though. Yeah.
So 10 years self-employed. What about you, Simon?
Well, what I did was. I basically got sacked. So, when I was younger, I got sacked, and I think I was about 18 because the guy at the time, he didn't like me because I was this. Talking about hair actually now, I was this long-haired grebo and used to go to work on a motorbike, and he didn't give me the job. One of his contracts managers gave me the job, And just because I used to go to work on a motorbike and be revving it and all this lot, they sent me working away. So as I was working away, I was missing college. So I basically got put back slightly. So and we was JTL as well. So I complained to the JTL and then he sacked me. But I couldn't do anything because I'd only been there a year. So what happened was, one of the guys, subcontractors I was working with at the time, who was working for this company, he wanted a young lad, an electrician's mate, as we used to call him back then. So I became an electrician's mate and did my own, finished, I only had 1 year left, I think, and finished it. But what I'm getting at is that at the time now you have what we call UTR numbers and stuff like that. Whereas back then we had what we call SE60s and these things called 714s. So an SE60 ticket used to mean that you could work for a company subcontract, they would pay you but take your tax off you. A 714 ticket used to be full payment, which is what I wanted. But to do that, you had to have a company name. So I made SB Electrical from when I was 19. So all them
and then that just grew and grew.
Yeah. And that's, well, I'm 49 now, 50 next year, so...
Wow, that's a big number, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks. That's why you have to buy hair. So yeah, it's quite a long time, so...
Yeah.
But yeah.
Was it easy, well, for both of you to grow your companies? Because I think that's a hurdle that a lot of people picture in their head, thinking, if I'm going to go self-employed, is it going to be enough to replace my wage? You know, it's going to be scary. I mean, how did you both manage that?
Well, mine was, again, we were subcontracting quite a lot. So we used to subcontract to quite big Derby companies. And through that, they used to say, oh, yeah, you don't know anybody else, do you? You don't know anybody else. So what happened then was I became a little bit like an agency. So I would say to some lad, oh, do you want to come and do this job for us? Put him out to the company for more money and make money on this guy. So, and at that, because of that, I think I had about, in the end, I think I had about 10 or 11 employees, but then I had about 20 odd guys because of all the guys I had subcontracting to us as well. But from that, you would then get somebody going, oh, can you do this full project? And then it just snowballed.
Yeah.
And any guys that's ever left me to go on their own, and I've always encouraged that, to be fair, but I've always said to them, look, don't worry about it, because you'll think you've got no work and it just snowballs. And I bet you know that, in the fact that you think you've not got anything in a month's time, and then something seems to replace it. So I've never ever, from a young age, been worried about work coming in. It's they're getting paid.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think if you're doing a good job, and that comes down to it more than anything, really. And you're always going to be in work, aren't you? Yeah, I remember when I went on my own, I was, what would I have been? Yeah, 21 or 22, and I had 6 months worth of work booked in before I started, which was fantastic because I was moonlighting like a madman while I was employed. I was doing so much private work, and I'd built up this little clientele beforehand. So went self-employed, had all this work lined up, absolutely fantastic. But I didn't know how to market myself. Like, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So all I did was work my way through that work. I'm getting down to the last week and I'm thinking, oh my God, at the time my wife didn't work. We just had a daughter, so I'm the only breadwinner in the household, just gone self-employed. It was a stupid move, really. And looking back on it, it was like the wrong time to do it, but it all worked out okay, obviously. And then just one day the phone rang. I think I put the listing up on Google or something like that. And the phone rang, and then it rang again, and it rang again, and it just grew from there. And I've never had a quiet day since.
No.
I
mean, you see what I'm working like at the moment.
Well, it's basic supply and demand, isn't that? Everyone knows quite openly there's a skill shortage of trades in this country.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be putting yourself out there, no matter what your trade is.
It's weird that I've got my own opinions on that. They are talking about a skills shortage. I would disagree that there's a shortage of people in the trade, because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of competition for every job you're going for.
Oh yeah.
Right. So there's clearly a lot of people in the industry, but talking of skill, now that's a different thing. Now, individuals within the industry that are actually good at their job, I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think there's not enough of us who are actually good at what you're doing and actually take the time to care about it and keep up with legislation and everything else. I think that's where the problem lies, not so much of the amount of people in the industry.
It's interesting you say that because, and this isn't my opinion, this is just things I've read, where especially for new housing developments, a lot of them are bringing in people who aren't particularly qualified, experienced, because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And they'll have someone that they'll probably put a team of people on X amount of houses, and they'll have one person come in to sign off X amount of houses.
There's a massive national contractor that is renowned for doing that.
Okay.
And they'll have like 10 apprentices under one electrician, and that's how they win those massive contracts. Hundreds of thousands of houses at a time. Because it's cheap labour.
Yeah. Well, that can only go on so long, can't it? Because
of course it can. It's going to catch up.
It's going to catch up.
But it has been going on for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the industry, it's been going on for a long time. I know companies now that work for major contractors. In fact, the electrical contractors are big themselves, and I know that they've probably got about 80 guys working for them, but they've probably got 20 electricians. And the rest are either
that's worrying, isn't it?
Labourers, apprentices, and things like that. So
that's when you consider what you spend, not only on a house but a new build as well, which you'd expect to be bang on, perfect, top spec.
Yeah. But that's when it was on about influencers and coming through on that. That's probably the other little gripe of mine is the fact that when you do watch these guys on YouTube and like I say, I've been in it for a bit, and I employ people, so I do know what a good person is. Quite a lot of these guys, which is I'm probably going to get beat up for this, are really crap. I see some of the workmanship that these guys are putting out, and I'm thinking, oh my God, there's no way I would employ you, mate. But you've got like 20,000 followers.
Maybe that's
Theo Webster.
That's conveniently how many I've got.
Maybe that is one of the negative effects of social media. I mean, it's been brilliant for what it does. It makes the industry, it makes people aware of the industry, links people together. But I suppose if people are catching wind of electricians earning, nice little bits on the side for 30 seconds of footage, are they then skipping the years of experience working under people like yourselves to just get that money? I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the first I've heard of it, so it's interesting.
I guess so, yeah, because obviously, like when I was an apprentice, I started in the trade 15 years ago, and it wasn't really a thing. I certainly didn't. Maybe, I don't know, when I started. I started Instagram when I started my business, and there weren't actually very many electrical influencers at the time that were like really big. The likes of Ryan Davis and that were around, but even they were quite small back then. But yeah, when I came into the industry, you knuckled down, you did your apprenticeship. Now, like you say, you've got these other options. You're like, oh yeah, but I could do that and I can earn more money, doing that. So whether they actually put their full heart and soul into the electrical industry, I don't know.
No, it's interesting though. It is a shame though. I mean, if you talk about the ones on those big housing developments, how do you tackle that like in the right way for the right reasons? Like, what can you do? Because you're certainly not going to win a tender against one of them kind of companies.
So one of the big ones, they, like I say, they'll operate with an electrician, team of apprentices, but they've also opened their own training centres and their own wholesalers.
They're on price as well, aren't they? A lot of the people doing the houses.
And the apprentices as well,
Yeah, that's what I mean. They put them on a price to get that. So they've got so much money to do a first fix. This is the electrician and what have you on site. Yeah. And I think that's the other way that the companies themselves get a cheaper price.
Yeah. And I suppose it's not only the electrics they'll be doing that with, they'll be doing it with the gas, the bricks, everything, the drainage.
Yeah.
So who knows what corners are being cut.
Yeah, I know, exactly, yeah. It's worrying. But at the same time, like for those apprentices, are they really getting a good education? No. Not really. You'll find out, Steve's he's really fast at running cables in. So that's all he's going to do. All right, that's what they'll get used at. They'll get used as labourers, essentially, not being taught how to be electricians.
Yeah.
Well, you've got people coming through that are just containment installers.
Yeah. This is the thing now. They're breaking the industry down, aren't they?
Yeah, massive.
Which I don't like.
No, I don't.
And that's got to be soul destroying for the person doing that, because if they're in the industry, you're going to be aware of people like yourselves who are doing different disciplines on site, and then if they're every day head down just doing containment or just doing whatever, that can't last forever.
At our local hospital, they've got guys in there on the maintenance side that are just classed as lamp changers. They literally just go around and change lamps.
Wow.
And that's what they're employed as lamp changers. So if there's something wrong with the fitting itself and it needs the ballast changing,
they're not qualified.
They can't do it. They have to have somebody else come along then and actually take the fitting down and do that. And it's like, oh my God. But that was I know why that was brought in, because I do a lot of the work there, you see, and that was brought in because they couldn't get the qualified electricians
to do it,
to come in, to actually employ. There was a shortage of them, and one of the biggest jobs that you can imagine in there is there's 100,000 lights in there. Is changing lamps, not light bulbs.
I suppose
they don't call them bulbs.
For a qualified electrician worth their salt, they're probably not going to want to be employed by someone solely like a hospital where you are limited, you are tied down.
Yeah.
I suppose that's one of the issues, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is where subcontracting. But if you're going back to like the housing thing, when you're doing tenders, do you ever have to have these conversations? Just say, look, I probably am going to be more expensive than this company.
100%.
You do get what you pay for. Yeah. And does that get listened to?
No. Certainly since COVID as well, it's got worse. I think the bottom line is everything.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. It comes down to price. So I priced a project, I'd say maybe 2 years ago, and there was a factory renovation which was going to be something like 60 dwellings, and you had 33 new dwellings built around that as well. And so phase one were these 33 houses, and I put in a price, and the company that's basically like 20 minutes from my doorstep as well. And the company came in, they were based an hour and a half away, and they were half of my price.
Wow.
And I'm pretty keen. Like I'm not, I'm not. I wouldn't say I was an expensive
not getting
contractor. I'm not cheap.
Like that.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna live this down.
And I remember the QS rang me up, and he's like, "You're way off the mark here, Theo." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not. It's just they're buying the work. They've obviously got contractors they need to find work for, or
That's
something."
why we've stopped doing domestic.
Yeah.
We literally don't do domestic because with me joining up with another company, which I'm a director of that company as well, I had quite a bit of domestic work through SB, brought it over, and this other company is more commercial anyway. But I had a brand new build to do, and I thought, well, we'll do that. So I priced it, won the job, we did it, and we lost money on it because the guys we've got are not domestic anyway, really. And I just thought, at the end of the day, we're too expensive. You know, we're just too expensive because our guys are paid through the JRB rates and stuff like that, and we pay them slightly more. But then when you're up against, somebody who's not a one-man band, but there's quite a few, but they haven't got overheads like us, you're out the domestic market. You cannot be in the domestic market because you can't get to their prices, really, like you're saying.
Yeah, it's mad, yeah. Although there's a massive argument, a lot of people, they talk down on domestic sparks, yeah. I'd imagine you've probably got a similar opinion to me. I think you can learn a lot more in a domestic setting. Not necessarily new builds, but I'm talking private sector.
Oh yeah.
When you're in someone's old house,
Yeah.
and there's so many different elements you're picking up on, how to work with the fabric of a building and all that, which in commercial...
fault finding.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Which, again, in commercial, you don't really have that.
No.
Because everything's surface, or 90% of the time.
Yeah.
You talk about the materials. You look at houses built within the last 100 years.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a lot of difference in that 100 years of how they're constructed.
Yeah, 100%.
In terms of the cavities, the wall, everything. So what you have learned in college or on your first job, that's not going to necessarily apply to every house you're doing. And the pressure's on because if you can't get something right, Betty can't heat up her home, can't put the lights on,
I think Part P was a good thing. It was a good and a bad thing, I think, when Part P came out. Probably before you, actually.
Yeah, I think
you would have come into
it's been my entire time, yeah.
So before Part P, and this, again, probably shouldn't own up to this, but you do your wiring and you'd switch your fuse on and that was it, it's done. I mean, you didn't need to test as such. So you got a lot of electricians that couldn't test, because they didn't. They just did the ring main, did the lighting circuit, switched the breakers on, nothing's tripped, off we go. Whereas when Part P came out, you had to know how to test to get, to become Part P registered, basically. Now, the good thing was is it made every Sparky have to know how to test. But the worst thing is it got rid of the older Sparkies. Yeah. Because the older electricians who probably didn't have the 2391 testing, or they didn't want to get registered with,
they've been doing it with so long the way they have.
Yeah, they went out the business. And I know quite a lot that's come out the business. And when we get back to the training side of it, we've lost a lot of old electricians who would have been training our apprentices to be good electricians.
That's a good point, yeah.
And we have, and I've seen that. I've seen a lot of the older guys that are still at working age have just took early retirement because they can't be bothered.
It's a bad one because it's changed again recently. I think NAPIT, NIC and all that, I think it's good that as a body, it's good to have them because we need to be regulated. Else all sorts of bad things would happen, we might not necessarily agree that we've got to pay for it, but it's, it's good that they're there, but at the same time, they keep moving the goalposts, and they are suddenly making city and guilds qualifications that have been absolutely fine up until now. They're suddenly no longer good enough for you to be registered as a electrician with them. So now you have to go off and do extra courses. I do feel like this is probably I'm going to be hated by the NIC and NAPIT, everyone but they're making you now go off and do other courses. So what Chris, who works for me, he's technically speaking not fully qualified. He's got, I think, what was like a Part 1 and a Part 2.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, I did. But he's not got.
He wouldn't have done his MVQ level 3.
Exactly,
because that's what happened to me.
Right,
and I had to go and do it.
So so Chris could not. He's perfectly capable. He's more than competent. He's been doing it for 25, 30 years, whatever. But if he wanted to go on his own now and register with NAPIT, he wouldn't be able to do it.
No, he wouldn't,
because he'd have to go and do his MVQ level 3, 2391, and probably some other things. His AM2, obviously. It does frustrate me that, like you say, you've got these people who've got the skills, and suddenly the industry is sort of turning their back on them and saying, no, you need to invest 6,000 quid in yourself for us to actually want to keep you in.
It's a valid point. And I guess, I'm going to try and stay neutral here because I don't want to get assassinated as I leave the building. And I guess on one hand, you could argue, it's pushing people out there after maybe people are just trying to get more money from courses. But on the other hand, everyone, from my experience, the majority of people in the trade say they want better regulation, as in safer working and everything like that. So you can see both sides. No, so it is difficult. I do get what you're saying.
That came through because with me being in the ECA and stuff, and I go to the branch meetings, I put that forward. And actually it was quite good because I had quite a few come back to me and say, well, all we're trying to do is get this level of what you should be at. And I said, I agree on that. I totally agree with the people coming through. But like we're just saying, we've got older people that
probably too much too soon. That there's probably not been a gradual enough, okay, if you want to be registered, you've got X amount of years before you can do this, not just drop off a cliff. But
the CPD things, I agree on that, but then we've had it where they're saying the CPD should be done by the apprentices as well and logged, which is okay, but the apprentices are constantly training. So really that is their CPD. And you can get a non-conformity from the governing bodies if your apprentices are not logged doing CPDs, which I think was wrong, But I do think that we are losing our way a little bit in the industry. I understand what people, because they are trying to get us all on the same level as a registered electrician and stuff like that, and having the gold card, which I totally and utterly agree. But again, we've got an electrician who we had to get him a labourer's card.
That's exactly what I've got.
Because his 18th edition ran out, and because although he's been doing it, he's 50 odd years old. But
so is that just so he can be eligible to?
So we could get on course, get on site.
It's naff though, because like you said, so Chris has got a labourer's card, or I think we might be able to get him an electrician's mate, possibly, if I went through the effort of doing it. Now that's fine while he's working for me. say we part ways and he then goes and subcontracts somewhere else, he can only earn an electrician's mate's wage, purely based on the fact of what his qualifications that he's got. But he's more than, that's why I pay him a Sparky's wage, because I know what he's capable of. And ultimately I'm signing everything off anyway. But it does frustrate me, the fact that you've got these people that are more than competent. They're coming in as an electrician's mate, so they're going to get paid the same as potentially someone who's literally started last week. Yeah. And he's been in it for 30 years. And it's like the wealth of knowledge is vastly different, and they're seen as the same thing. And it just really frustrates me, because I've had, just after or during when we actually did our video last time, that's when I had my biggest ever project. And I had 13 lads working for me of varying different levels and ages, qualifications and everything. And that's when I first really started to notice it, that you'd got these, I literally had, I think I had 6 electricians mates, all of which I was paying the same. And one literally had started that week, and one who'd already been doing it for 3 years, paying for his own qualifications. And then it just seems the same thing. And it just Is there any help out there, any government funding or anything like that you can run through your business to help people?
Yeah, I think what they've come up with now is, I can't remember what it's called, but I got told off really, because I said this within one of our ECA regional meetings.
You're going to get told off again now.
I called it, I think it was something like old man's course or something, but they're coming up for I can't think of the word.
Oh, I know what you mean. Experienced
worker thing or something like that, but I call it old man's course.
So would you, the employer, have to apply to that from the government?
Yeah,
is that how that
I think
work?
that's how it's coming. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, what it's pretty much run quite a lot through the JRB as well, because we all need the. So we used to call them JRB cards. They're not JRB cards now. They're an ECS card, but it's run by the JRB, so you just have a JRB number on it. And it's basically it's a health and safety card to get on site. That's where the biggest problem is because all electricians want the gold card. But I don't know whether they moved the goalpost, they have, but you've always had to have your MVQ level 3 to get that.
Yeah, for a gold card. Yeah,
because like I say, I remember I thought, I'll get my gold card, and because I did the old course, the NVQ was never a thing. So I ended up having my apprentices take pictures of me doing jobs, so I could get my MVQ level 3 to then get the gold card. You see,
I think a lot of employers probably don't know what they can apply for, do they? Because we've had it with people talking about their apprentices, not realising that there are funds available that you can apply to help pay them and pay for things. Don't quote me on the right bits. But I suppose it's making people aware that there are things out there. It's not necessarily going to solve everything, because if it's coming from the government or whatever government is in charge, you're not going to get a fortune, are you? It's just going to be a supplement, I suppose.
Well, as soon as you take an apprentice on, I think it's £1,000. You get after 6 months, you get 500, then another 500 after the 6 months. I'm not sure if they go to a local college, but I think they do. But if you go through JTL, they get a toolkit as well.
Okay.
And it's quite a decent toolkit. It's normally done through a wholesalers, actually.
Yeah.
So they do. As a company, you do get subsidised for them in a way. Plus, if they're going through, a governing body, the training's paid for anyway. So you just pay them their wage, really. So,
but I suppose what's made me think though is we've just said that it's not necessarily a gap in terms of labour, it's a gap in terms of skills. Yeah. And then you've got governing bodies for right or wrong reasons, I suppose, trying to bridge that gap and make sure everyone's up to skill. Yeah. It is a difficult battle, and I do think that schools have a lot to blame on this. Yeah. And I think it's only now where it's sort of kick-starting back up again, because I have to think I'm 38 years old. So over 20 years ago when I was at school, you even mentioned the word trade, they look at you like you're thick or scum or anything like that. Like they did not want you to do trades. Well, how's your houses getting built? How's your light staying on? You know, and I think that dropped trade off massively. I think, and we're still seeing the effects from that. Where I think it's only now where people are, oh yeah, that was a bad idea, wasn't it? Because now we've got no one to come and build the homes and hospitals and maintain everything like that. So I think there's almost been a perfect storm where you've had that education put off, you've had extra qualifications, extra demands, and we're seeing the effects of it now. But
yeah,
you know,
I think the other thing as well, obviously, you know, the government, they set that target of number of houses. I don't know what the figure was exactly, but the number of houses they wanted to build by 2030. I think it is. Is that right? 2030?
Yeah, I think.
Right. And I think that again is where this skills shortage has come from, is the fact they've set this unrealistic number of properties we need to build by this time, that actually we've created that gap ourselves. Right. It's not actually there. You know, there probably are fewer people coming into the industry. You know, there's a lot of older guys that are leaving. You know, I think I saw something online. It was like in 2024, I think there was like a 60,000 tradespeople, so not electricians, you know, all trades, shortfall of who'd left and who'd came in. But if you've suddenly set these horrific targets of, you know, let's build 10 million houses, suddenly you've just created all this work, but you've not even got the people to do it. So you've instantly got a skill shortage.
Yeah. They've sort of instigated it themselves, haven't they?
Yeah. So I don't know. At the same time, I think they are actively trying to push people into skilled work over university now, because ultimately
pays better, less debt.
Exactly. This is the thing. You know, people are having just massive debts that, you know, I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but after a certain period of time, it gets written off anyway. And this is the trouble, you know. So the government's probably carrying a lot of that cost themselves.
Well, yeah, you'll be paying interest. So you'll be servicing debt that's unpayable, really, aren't you?
Yeah. So, you know, whereas tradespeople come in, we cost the government very little. We're actually earning money, so we're paying tax from the get-goes. From 16 years old, you're paying tax then. So it's, you know, they've got a good incentive to suddenly create this skills gap and try and force people into that, because they're going to make more money as well, aren't they?
What would you say the biggest benefits you found to yourselves have been from choosing a trade over going down a... Not that there's anything wrong with an academic route, but for you guys, what would be your...
I would have struggled academically.
Yeah. I think that's the same for a lot of us, though.
Yeah. I think you probably do find that a lot of tradespeople are not that academic.
Yeah.
You know, I struggled with my courses throughout the college, and I can remember... And when I did my 2391 course, I do not know how I passed that. I ain't got a clue.
You know what? I'd actually disagree slightly, because I think you guys need to give yourselves more credit, because some of the electricians, engineers I spoke to absolutely blow my mind. Some of the things they know, some of the calculations they can work out in their head.
But it's application, isn't it? It's how we apply ourselves differently.
Yeah.
I think they reckon like a lot of tradespeople are like autistic or ADHD or you got there's some sort of undiagnosed thing with all of us. We've all got a problem.
I know it is. It's like having your van tidy or something like that, isn't it? You've got to have that.
Yeah, we're all OCD with the van. Yeah, well, maybe
but you forget to do an invoice. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, my MD of the other company, you know, he makes me laugh sometimes, because we'll sit in meetings and I'll come up with things. And he'll say, you know, you're not very good at that, are you? And I was like, I says, that's not actually quite nice. He goes, no. He goes, you're a maverick. But I was like, is that good or is that bad? I had to look it up and think, what's maverick? I says, what do you mean? He says, well, you go off and do what you want to do it works, but you do it in your own way. And I said, well, that's how I've always had to be, because...
Practical way.
It's a practical way. You know, whereas... don't get me wrong, because you've got to have a certain amount of being academic to run a business. But
did you bear that in mind when you did it? Probably not.
No,
I definitely didn't.
No, and that's one of the reasons why I joined with another company, because I was sick to death of working till 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, doing invoices and quotes and certificates and stuff, you know, and that's what you do now, work till 12 o'clock at night in scary schools. Did you like that?
Yeah.
He was on one of them. He was on about how it was really spooky, and I know how. And I said I knew exactly how he felt because I've been in a big school or a big building on your own because you're there. You've got to get it done. All these noises are
see some like the Conjuring coming around.
And what he really didn't need was me sending him a voice note. But yeah. I mean, academically, I think we are. You've got to because of the course we have to do. But it's like anything, isn't it? You learn what I can remember. I don't know if it was me, ex-wife or something, and I was doing a fuse board at home, and she was like, "How do you know where all they go?" And especially if you've not marked up, but you've marked them up on your twin and earth anyway. But you've written on it, but you just go. Well,
it's what you're interested in as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many people do you know have that one weird quirk where they can name every song or actor or something like that? Whatever you're interested in, I think your knowledge really applies to that.
Funny you should say that because, again, back to the Part P. When the Part P come out, I was one of them that weren't very good at testing. So I thought, gee, I've got to learn how to test it properly for the NIC or the NAPIT or whoever coming out to do my inspection. And I thought, how am I going to do this? So at the time, I was massively into Moto Grand Prix motorbiking. I could have told you 20 years ago, every single person, because I was really into it. And I thought the only way I'm going to learn to do the testing and know it properly is to get into it and learn it. And I love testing now. Yeah, I really do like it. I love fault finding.
Yeah.
Because when you sort of know the science to it, and if that you add that up to that, and it should make this, and when you do your test, you go, oh, actually, it does make that number.
Yeah.
And I thought this is the only way I'm going to learn it. So
you've got to throw yourself into your weaknesses, haven't you?
Yeah, I think if you think about it, like school, there, we're a lot of tradespeople. You're practical people, and like you said, we probably don't give ourselves as much credit as we're due. But in school, it's all very academic, obviously. As soon as you step into the trade world, it's still very academic, but it's being applied practically. And that's the difference. I think rather than it's all just being theory-based, suddenly you're putting it into practice and you've got that hands-on element. And that's where we all come out of your shells a bit and you start to shine. And you actually think, maybe I am not completely stupid. And
no, I agree. I've seen people that you grow up with who would be called like the problem child or the naughty kid or whatever, and you see them throw themselves into a trade and absolutely flourish. Some of these people I grew up with who you'd call a problem child or naughty kid or whatever, they're running their own businesses now. They were awful in their exams. They were getting sent out for losing their temper, but now they're running businesses, earning a good amount, hiring people. That's why I say that education needs to play a part. I think, I don't know how many years ago, but at one point you were very much identified as trade would suit you, and that plugged. I'm not pointing directly at you.
You're right though, was you in my school?
But that would plug the gap that was needed at the time. Then we've seen this shortfall, and I do think it is starting to make hopefully a bit of a comeback.
Well, ironically, I failed my I can't remember what it was called. It was a GCSE, but it was something to do with technical woodwork. It was like CDT or something. But
CDT.
But you had to do all technical stuff, and I got an F in that. I became an electrician.
But going back to your businesses that you now run, so obviously we can't give financial advice, but you can give personal advice from your own businesses and the types of things that have helped you, that you can save, you can claim. I think those kind of bits of advice really do help people, just especially when they're thinking about taking the plunge, starting their own business.
Yeah.
So are there any bits of advice you'd give on things that you'd recommend speaking to your accountants about, things you could claim back?
Yeah, I mean, when I first went on my own, at the time you could apply for, quite easily apply for like a small business loan from NatWest, it was, and I think I took like £2,500. And that's what bought my van for me. I was still young at the time. We just got married. I'd spent all of my money. I had nothing, and I just thought, let's go self-employed. That'd be a really good idea. And so I took this £2,500 loan. I don't know. I paid back probably $2,800 over the course of a year or 18 months or something like that, and that was great. So little things like that. Like obviously never put yourself in financial burden. You know, have a look at it and make, you know, that's a small sum realistically. I mean, you're going self-employed as an electrician, £2,500's not a vast amount of money, especially now. That, you know, 10 years ago it still wasn't a lot of money, but yeah, little things like that it's worth looking into, and 100%, like, you know, I'm part of the problem. 100%, you know, I'm out there, putting myself out there, and I've got all the tools. I've got all the gear you could possibly ever want, but you don't need it, right? You don't.
Can't stop it.
It's great to have it, yeah.
They're just toys, aren't they?
If I had a discount code that I got commission on, I'd be selling it to you right now, but I don't. So
you say you don't need it, but we've got a lad who works for us, and his van's probably like yours. It's got everything in it, but he has your competitor.
Don't say it.
But if and when I go out on the tour, sometimes I always make sure I go with him. Seriously. And he's an electrician. We probably don't need 2 electricians on the job sometimes, but I'll make sure I take him, or he comes on that job, because I know
it's going to be easier.
I just need to take my tool bag out, and then he's got it all, you know. And sort of going back to saying what you need as starting up as a company. One is your van, because that's your main tool, isn't it? Or Theo is your bedroom as well.
We'll come back to that, actually. I want to come back to that.
And 2 is having the right tools. You know, we've got another lad who I don't even know how I'm saying this, because it didn't stay like this. I'm just going to say that. But we were on a job. Well, sorry, he was on a job. His 20mm hole saw broke, and he ended up drilling a metal box with a spade bit.
Amazing. We've all done it,
right? Because he hasn't got the right tool. You know what I mean? So I think the main things for setting up is having all the right tools. Spend your money on good tools and right tools, and your van.
Yeah.
Insurances as well. A lot of people who set up forget about insurances. If you're doing domestic, you want your Part P. It's not cheap to start up a business anymore. No.
But you can run a lot of that through your business.
Yeah, you can, but you need the money to start. So if you set up a business and you set up a business account, a bank account, you're probably not going to get lent money on with no trading. So you may have to do a small amount of trading, and like Theo says, buy a cheap van. Because I think what happens nowadays, especially with internet and influencers and stuff,
see all the shiny bits.
You see all the cracking vans and all that. Yeah. So these guys or girls starting up, they want that straight away. You know, they don't realise that person's waited all these years to get all that.
Yeah.
You know, so it does take a lot.
9 vans in 10 years.
I was going to say, like, if you're, I don't know, 18, 19, you're thinking, oh yeah, but that'll take me 10 years. Okay, speak to someone who's been in business 10 years. It didn't feel like 10 years.
No,
like 2 years ago.
Yeah, literally.
You know, these things do take time to build. If you want to do it organically and sustainably to your business and your money, then it does take time, doesn't it?
It does take time.
The best businesses are grown slowly, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you can't just rush into it, because then you rush into it, and it's like, say somebody was going to start up and straight away they've got a £50,000 office block or something they're going to be doing. I'd be saying to them, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, because you've got to walk before you can run, haven't you, really? You know, you need to start on the smaller jobs and work your way up. And I think the best companies are built like that as well.
Yeah, but when I had, you know, during COVID, when I had the 13 people working for me, I didn't have any admin staff and that. I was on site 12 hours a day. And then for the other 12 hours of the day, I was doing freaking paperwork and ordering materials and arranging stuff. And it was, you know, I don't know how I lived, if I'm completely honest.
Do you think AI will play a part in that?
Do you think people are using that now? It's going to, I'm going to chuck a little plug in. So, you know, I use a business management software called Jobber.
Okay.
All right, if you go onto my Instagram profile, there's a link there. You'll get a 14-day free trial. And 20% off the first 6 months.
That was a brilliant little plug there. I want some like QVC music on that when we edit this.
If we could just put the Jobber logo here.
We'll just leave and let him stand there. You should have brought your sign in. You could put up your sign.
Cool now.
And it does help, you know, because people are. I've always been quite old-fashioned. Before I started using that software, I was always pen and paper, and I'd like generate my own invoices and quotes on my laptop, on PowerPoint, like, you know, because I can move things around, all of my icons and logos and all the information. It's just really easy to use. Like, I probably sound like a really old man to anyone younger that's watching it, and it's worked for me for a really long time. But these job management things, I mean, the other ones are all rubbish, obviously. But they've already got AI integrated into them. So they've got a AI receptionist. You know, we're busy people, you know, 90% of our work is on site doing the job. Anytime you're on the phone, you're not earning money. Yeah, okay, it's a potential client, but you're not working, you're not making money. So they actually incorporate a thing on there where it'll answer the phone for you, get the core information that you need. So it's actually saving you time, and it's quite a good feature. Also, when you're writing out your quotes, you can put in the core information. At the bottom then it's got an AI feature, you click on that and you can select how you want it to be formatted in a professional manner, friendly, whatever, and it will just regenerate everything you've typed in as a proper quote. In way better English than I could have ever put it.
It does, it helps, doesn't it? I mean, I have to do some emails every now and again where I'm thinking, I write the way I speak, or I say the way I talk, which isn't the best sometimes. You know what I mean?
Derbyfied.
Yes, massively. And I'm not the best at spelling. So when I'm writing, luckily now emails actually do the spelling for you, or it gives a red line saying you've done that wrong or what have you. And with this SGTV or whatever it's called, I even don't know how to put it on that. And one of the other directors who sits opposite me, he's our technical director. I have to say to him, Luke, will you come and just put this on ChatGTV for me, because I haven't even got a clue how to put it on.
Oh yeah, you have.
And it does sometimes. When you reread it, then you think, oh, actually, that's absolutely brilliant.
You've got to know what to ask it, don't you? There's whole things about these prompt engineers, they're calling them, to actually make sure you're asking the right questions for AI to get the answers or the outcome you want.
I don't know whether you notice as well, if you Google anything, the first answers that will come up is something to do with the AI.
Dodgy search history.
Yeah. But yeah, it comes up in the AI will tell you first, and then you can scroll down to see if somebody else has put something. Yeah. I've noticed that more.
And that's only going to get better, isn't it? Like these tools and software and apps and things, they're only going to get better.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And hopefully that will give...
I think jumping onto the electrical side of AI as well, I think it's going to help a lot more. So you're possibly not going to have to ring technical if you're doing something and you need to ring the technical department. I reckon you're more than likely now going to be able to go on and type in what it is, and the AI should tell you.
Yeah.
And I kind of know that because yesterday in the office, again, our technical director I think he was looking at something for door entry systems, and he was asking AI all about it. You know, and it was giving him I think he was asking something to do with a capacitor or something, and the AI was telling him, and I was thinking, how does that even know that?
That's scary though, because what if that's wrong, and then you blow something up?
No, you're dead right there. That is a.
What we're talking about, making everything more safe and legitimate and certified, like where does AI come into that? Could that? You'd think that's learning from
in a court of law. Where would you go with that?
Yeah, I mean, you'll see, you know, consumer units, they're going to get smarter. Yeah, they already are, it's happening, but they're going to increasingly get more and more that you've actually got, you know, like a home management system where it's got a brain in your consumer unit, and it's going to monitor any faults properly. I know
you've got like AFDDs.
Exactly, AFDDs do that, so they'll give you a very basic indication of what that fault is, you know, but that's going to just get better and better. I think
more
as time goes by.
As well,
of course. Yeah, that's the only downside.
You're consuming it's going to end up a bit like a fire alarm panel, isn't it? Where it's going
to log all the information.
Yeah.
And
you know, if there's a fault on a socket or something, your panel will tell you what socket it is if you've marked them up right.
Yeah.
We're going to have to market that.
You've said it within Scolmore's building, so we own this idea now. So you've signed it away already.
Well, that could be good though. Joking aside, that could actually be something that, you know, because I mean, it would take away from our fault finding, you know, but in a way, it's kind of fault finding for you.
Industries change, technology changes. You have to go with it, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
And I suppose it's funny for the older generation who are seeing all these newer things, newer regs, it's put them off, and now the younger generation, they're going to be in the exact same position at some point.
We'll transition as time goes by from being electricians to technicians.
Yeah,
because it's going to get so technical. I think there's going to be more programming and everything as a part, even built into the apprenticeship. I think that will become just a part of it as time goes by.
Yeah, you got to get on it before it happens, really, haven't you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. If
you want to be ahead of it and take advantage of it, make a fortune. Yeah. Not that you guys need any more money,
like solar.
He does. He's 11 grand down.
Yeah, might have to have it done again as well.
I mean, saying that though, you're both. One of you slept in your van last night. One of you sleeping in your van tonight. Yeah. So it's not all. It's not all £50 notes.
Not 5-star hotels, is it?
That's the thing. And again, like with the likes of Instagram and that, it's not. That's something you need to bear in mind. It's not all as glamorous as it might look.
I absolutely love how we're portrayed with the, you got your £50 notes and stuff. I actually love that. I think it's dead funny. I do, really do. But
as he's wiping his brow with
water. But yeah, I mean, like you were just about to say, you're sleeping in your van.
Yeah.
In fact, 2 nights, isn't it? This week?
2 nights this week, yeah.
I mean, it's a nice van, though, don't get me wrong. It's near enough for a camper van. You may as well have it.
Just want to clarify,
Wi-Fi, TV.
You're not homeless. This is just for working.
Yeah, I'm working 7 hours away from home, and I'm in between 2 jobs. So, working in Burnley and Middlesbrough, which is 2 hours in between them.
Yeah.
And it's a bit sort of intermittent at the moment, so booking accommodation is a pain in the ass because it's last minute. I'm doing late hours, like I didn't actually get to Burnley until 10 o'clock last night, and I worked for a couple hours, then went to sleep. So there's no point in me paying for an Airbnb to sleep in it for 6 hours. It's going to cost me 80 quid. Why would I bother doing that when I've got a bed in the van?
You got a 24-hour gym membership, you can go
exactly. I've got showers and all that, Mackie D's breakfast, everyone's happy,
Did you I'm asking questions now. I'm doing Ben's job.
Carry on.
Yeah. Is it Chris?
Yeah.
Does he live where you live? Or?
Yeah, he's based in. Yeah, so he's from Birmingham.
Does he stay on one job though, and then he stays at one job and then gets an hotel there?
Yeah, he doesn't live my lifestyle. No, But at the same time, that's the one thing I've always said in the last 10 years. Like, when you go self-employed, I'll never expect anyone to do anything unless I'm willing to do it myself.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm never going to expect them to do it at the degree that I do it. The hours, the living conditions sometimes, and everything else. I would never expect anyone to have to do that. Chris is always in an Airbnb. Like he's, this Friday he's been flown home. I could make him drive the 7 hours, but no, we'll fly him home and then fly him back on Monday morning because it's just quicker and it's less painful for him. He's got a family as well.
To you though, isn't it? At the end of the day, you
leading by example.
Yeah,
that's above that. Really.
Yeah, I'd be the first in a loft. If I have to go up in a loft or go down in under floors or go in a basement, I'll do that. I remember we did a big cow shed, and the cows were in half of it, and it absolutely reeked. And we were doing lighting, so we had to put all scaffold.
That's like day to day for us in Devon, mate.
And there was cow muck all over the place. So I got the lads these overalls, and they were like, right, you expect us to do this? And I said, I'll tell you what then, I'll help you. And I did. One daylight. But I did
on a 6-month job.
I did that day to show that I'd do it. But yeah, you're dead right. You can't expect anybody to do something that you're not going to do yourself.
I think a lot of people who've gone self-employed, the majority of reason for that is because we've been unhappy where we are. For either you've been treated badly, not paid well,
or sacked.
Yeah, or got sacked because you've got long hair. Little did they know it was going to fall out anyway. And but I think that quite often is the reason we're not happy for one of those reasons, and that's why I always try to make sure I pay people well and I treat them well. Take them out for breakfast on a Friday and things like that. It's little things that make a massive impact when you've got people that are working for you, I think. So.
And I do think that is I would say slightly a newer age thing, because not every boss back in the day was bad. But I think it was very much, especially in trades, that you'd get yelled at, you'd get the stress put on you, you'd get the cosh put on you if you're not doing something right.
Yeah.
And it was always my belief, and this might I don't want to be ageist, but people of previous generations might be watching this thinking, no, it worked fine, and probably it did.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything wrong now with, if someone's making a mistake, you don't have to rear end them. You can just say, look, that's not how you do it. It could have negative consequences. It could be dangerous. This is how you do it.
That's what we do. We'll, nobody's perfect, so a lot of the time we'll bring lads in and we won't give them a rollicking, but what we'll say is, how do you think you could have done that better? The job you did there was not very good. But we'd say to them, look, how do you think you could have done that better? How could you approached it? Could we have helped you more? Did we need to give you more time for the job as well? And that's the thing, because sometimes you don't realise when you're pricing a job, especially, now we've got quite a lot of lads on, nobody works, as Theo will back us up on this, how you work.
No, never.
So you'll put a job in for 4 hours, for example, because you're doing it how you would do it. Whereas if you that person might take 6 hours, might take 8 hours, so then, but we need to know that. So we have to ask these questions of I think when I did a thing with you not long, looking back now, it's 4 years ago, on the mental health. And I don't know if you remember, I was talking about how my mental health was really, really bad when I first started because of the electricians I was working with. Yeah. And because, he was called the apprentice basher, but he nearly made me finish the trade, not carry on working. I was that bothered about going to work because of this one guy that I nearly didn't go to work and not become an electrician.
And it's not uncommon either.
Yeah, but you just...
exactly the same for me.
You can't do that now. You just can't do that.
Yeah, there's a guy called Nigel, right? And I actually really liked him. I thought he was a really nice guy, but he was the apprentice breaker, and he was just an arsehole. Like, most of the time, he was just like it was like life had beaten him down, so he was going to beat everyone else down along the way.
You can't be like that.
No. Yeah.
Same with asking questions, I think, especially for an electrician or gas fitter, anything like that. If you've got someone new, could be experienced, if they don't know the answer and they get it wrong, lives are at risk. Yeah. So if they're asking you a question, what might be a silly question to you, you can't make them feel like it's a silly question. You've got to explain it. Yeah,
true. Yeah. I think that's where things have changed a lot in like the last 10 years or so. Like you say, it was always, people used to joke about, there's no such thing as a stupid question or whatever, and at the same time you were treated like it was a stupid question. Whereas now I think that's happening less, and people are actually taking the time and...
Yeah, but it can become, I totally 100% agree that, they should, but giving you a call if they don't know what they're doing, but it can become quite
it can't be
intense. When I started, there was no mobile phones. So when you got on a job, shut up.
What was that?
No, all right, there was mobile phones, but there wasn't like the mobile phones you got now. It was something that you flipped out and pulled this big, well, no, you didn't even flip out. It was just a big cell net or something. I can't remember what it was called. But you, as an electrician, as an apprentice, you didn't have one.
No.
Out of the whole company, in fact, that whole of Derby, there was probably 3 electricians had a mobile phone. So what it meant was you got on site and you had to work out how you're going to do that job. And what we find now is, because everybody in the whole world's got a phone, they'll either try and Google how to do it, which is great, which is what they should be doing, or they'll be ringing the office.
Yeah, it's using someone else's brain, isn't it? It can be a lazy thing, I think.
Yeah, it is. That's what I was trying to get at.
And think, actually, how could I do this? It'd be it's quicker if I just ring Theo or Simon.
But I agree with what you said. It does get frustrating. So I've had an electrician working for me, fully qualified. And so in my opinion, there should be nothing that I know that he shouldn't know. Yeah. We've got the same qualifications, And this guy would ring me 10 times a day, every day, and it just frustrated the hell out of me. It does,
because you're thinking why you're paying him, basically.
Yeah, because I'm doing all the thinking for you, But no, you're right. It's good to ask questions, but at the same time, in moderation.
Yeah. I would like to go back to something though that you said about when we did that episode on mental health, and something you said actually has stuck with me, and I use to this day. I remember we were talking about I think you were saying when you'd be struggling, you'd sometimes not even know why. So you'd have to sort of sit back and almost you could write a to-do list. You could write a list of what's actually bothering you to unravel that.
Yeah.
And that honestly,
I still do that today.
Today, that stuck with me. Even now, I know it's slightly off subject, but if ever I'm wound up or something like that, I will actually use that. I'll think, right, kids have all gone to bed, telly off, phone off, whatever. Just write down what I'm getting stressed about or what I've got to do. And then you almost break it down.
Well, it's there then. What it is that I think... what I said at the time is you write it down, because what you do is you can go, right, it's there. Yeah. Put it there. Yeah. Well, look at that tomorrow.
You can tick one thing off at a time.
And even with phones now, you can write it on your phone, but I still don't. I still physically write it down. Yeah. Because I think it's that act of writing it down as well which helps you. Yeah. And then you can go, because with your phone, you're always on your phone. You could write it in, then Facebook pops up or you go on something like that. Yeah. Whereas with that, you can go, bang, it's there, done. I'll look at that tomorrow. Before I leave the office every night, I will write down on my notepad things that I need to do for the next day.
I do the same. Do the same for work things or things I need to get done around the house. Just write it down, because otherwise you'll be thinking, right, I need to cook dinner, I need to sort the bath, sort the kids, and I still need to fix that. Like, you just break it down, take one bit at a time, and then feel a little bit better. It's less overwhelming.
My way of looking at it as well is, if you're looking at a job, and I've made this list of things, I'll find the worst thing on there and I'll do it first, because I hate having to knowing, I've got to go and do that. Yeah, I've got to do that. I've got to get in that awful loft space or whatever. So do that first, get out of the way, and then find the next worst thing and work my way backwards to a good job. I think.
Yeah. Well, that's snagging into it basically. You work on the. So I've got like 3 ways really. I do it for the office, so I know what quotes I've got to do, who I've got to call, all that kind of thing. That stays at the office. I come home, I've got the missus going on or something, so I'm going, right, like you say, when they've gone to bed.
Fire up that one, isn't it?
That's a reel right there, isn't it?
She won't watch this.
No, we're going to send it to her.
So I'll write down stuff, have I got to do something in my garage, have I got to put my mountain bike away, blah, 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 and that's my home one. And then I'll do a work one, which is your snagging list, as we use. And I try and teach that to the lads as well. I've always been an advocate of writing stuff down. Even my kids, my daughter, both daughters, one's 25 and the other one's 20. But if they're getting stressed with university or what, I'll say, write a list. Do yourself a list and then put it away and go to the pub, or do, you know what I mean? Do something like that.
Definitely.
And I'm teaching it to the lads at work as well. I'm saying, get off your phone and write it. We give them a diary, to be fair. So if they're a foreman on a job, we'll give them a diary and say, write down every day who's been on site, if something's happened on site. But they've got iPads. We give them all iPads, and we use that probably with that. I forgot what you called it now. The plug that you did, but we've got something similar. Yeah. So they're meant to write it in there, but they always say to them, do it on paper as well. Because it's that act of doing it.
Yeah, let's say the mind remembers what the hand writes or something.
Yeah.
And it's true though. I think whether you're doing it for you. No, I did. Honestly, 5 years or whatever it was, that has stuck with me. So
when COVID hit, it was literally myself and I had an apprentice. I got very lucky. COVID hit, we became key workers or essential workers, whatever we were classed as, and there was genuinely a construction boom. Some people were struggling, don't know why, but the rest of us, I think you said you thrived as well.
I took lads on.
Yeah, so did I. So I literally went from 2 to 13 almost overnight. I won a massive contract doing student accommodation. So it was 1,200 bedrooms of student accommodation. I took on a sixth of the site. Well, a little bit more. It was 220 bedrooms we did, with the kitchen, lounge, diners, hallways, plant rooms, everything. It's 2 complete blocks. And it was insane. I was 25 years old. All but 2 people that worked for me were older than me, which was really difficult. That brought challenges in itself. Do you know what I mean? When you've suddenly got people who all think they know better than you, and you've got this kid essentially trying to run this show. It was mad. But COVID. a lot of people went self-employed, and like we were saying, that's created this new problem where you've got all these people who are suddenly competing for the same work. And I think Devon was quite it's a big pond, Devon's a massive area, but at the same time, you've got a lot of sparkies there all fishing for the same work. And that just got 10 times worse in COVID. And fast forward maybe 3 years, that's why you then found a lot of them were struggling because they didn't have the legacy, I suppose you call it, that some of us had.
They haven't got the backbone.
Exactly.
The core of what.
Yeah, that core clientele that you've had for years.
It's almost blown up too
bread
quick.
And butter. Yeah, it blew up too quick. You've got all these people who are suddenly out on their own, fighting for the same work now, and it's just not going to work. And I think a lot of people have found that. So loads have either gone back employed or they are permanently subcontracting, which is nothing wrong with that. I've done that on and off for years as well, and it's actually, it works quite well.
I think it's getting harder to become a subcontractor as well, because we've just had a lad leave, mainly because he moved quite far away.
Right.
So he was one of a really, really good lad, and we said to him we'll pay for his diesel and all this lot, but I think he got just that too far away from Derby. But I was saying to him, well, what are you doing? Are you going to work for a company? Are you going to go subby in? So, because if you sub in, you can subby back to us if you want to, because I really didn't want to lose him. And he said, well, I have looked at subbying. He said, but it's actually costs so much money to start up that he was sort of saying, I'm going to go and work for this company. So he's gone working for a company. So
You mentioned about one of the companies didn't want you having subs as well. Do you think that will be pushing a lot of people out?
Yeah, it does. I mean, when you do work for the bigger contractors, they tend to, if you're you've done a tender and you do a job for them, they tend to just want you to have your employees and not subcontractors. Yeah. Sometimes it's to do with insurances and, if you're working on a place where there's the public as well, a lot of you've got all your lads in your livery and all that lot, and your subcontractors are turning up and they've got what they are, or their own vans and stuff like that. And some contractors won't have that.
Yeah, but it's accountability as well, isn't it? You're responsible for them and the work they're putting out. You are with subbies as well, but when you go through an agency, you're completely relying on what that agent is telling you, and they're going to tell you anything because they're going to make their £3 an hour, regardless as to who they send you. And we found, so on that job where I had my 13, there was probably, oh my God, there must have been at least another 100 electricians on site doing the rest of the project. And a lot of them were agency workers. And my God, you just had all sorts of riffraff there. Like we were saying about the whole electrician's mate thing, you've got varying different skill levels there across a 3-year span of that ticket or whatever. And so I think it should be harder to just, to let people just use agency workers, because it doesn't really work, because a lot of them don't necessarily want to be there. They're there purely on financial basis. I like people to get a little bit invested in a job. Yeah. On a certain level, because you're going to produce better work.
I think guys are on this sound really horrible, but being in the trade a long time, agency workers are an agency worker for a reason, especially within our industry. Yeah. You have agency workers that will, be a receptionist, or, it's completely different. It seems to be that any agency lads that you have, out of 20 guys that you may have, one will be decent. Yeah. Wow. And I don't know whether it's because they can't be bothered. They know they're an agency. They know they're only going to be there for a certain period of time, so they're not that invested, like you just said. And I think when you have a subcontractor, it seems to be more. Well, like I say, with a subcontractor, a lot of the time they have to set up their own little business. So they are a one-man band business, or maybe have an apprentice, but they've got their own little business, but they're subcontracting. So they're
accountable, aren't they?
Yeah. Whereas when you're an agency, you're just that person. You're just Simon Bell or Theo Webster. And sometimes you get people that just can't be bothered and know if they're going to get sacked tomorrow because they're not bothered or turn up late or blah, 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 the agency will find them another place.
See, that's scary though, because when they're dealing with, well, regardless of where they're working, it's still electrical safety. And if they're not invested or don't care, and they've been put there because, like you say, it's harder to put a subby in, and a subby might have more be more interested and invested into it. They're going to put a lot more care and attention into it. Again, it all boils down to price, doesn't it?
Yeah. That and a lot of agency people over the years for various different projects, and it's pretty cutthroat. They'll call in and say, "Oh mate, I've got another job somewhere, 25p an hour more." Right, okay. Cheers then. Thanks for that.
But that's what I mean. I think that's why you get that calibre of people that work for an agency.
Yeah.
Not saying that everybody's like that, but the majority of people that do, because they can do that. If you're a subcontractor or you're subbing in, you're, like we just said, you're more invested in that job. So I'll come and work for you and think, right, you need me for 3 weeks, I'm going to work for you for 3 weeks. But if I'm an agency, and like you've just said, somebody's offering me 50p more, I've got nothing for you, so I'm off, And unfortunately, that's what you get. And unfortunately, that's the brush, is it right? The brush the tar. No.
Tied with the same brush.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Yeah.
I've been with Billy too long. He gets his misses his.
So Billy, for those who don't know, that's Billy Byrne, part of DIY. He does a lot of our. He's on our stand a lot for the Elect shows. So how did you get involved with Billy then?
I was, through DIY really.
Yeah, because that was when we not last spoke, but when we originally spoke 5 years ago. You were telling me that you were doing a lot of the DIY shows, wasn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've lost count now, but I think I must have done 15 or more than that. A lot. I think I've done about 7 children in need ones as well, which are the big ones. So, and if you count where I've just gone down for the weekend, so I may have gone on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's even more. So, but. Yeah,
and a lot of that has to come out your own pocket.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, we were saying, weren't we? The very first one, it cost me probably 3 to 4, maybe more, £1,000 with the guys that I put on and the materials you use. So
that's brilliant, though. Like, I mean, everyone who watches that show, you get a warm, fuzzy feeling because of what they're doing, which is great. But
business-wise, I mean. From that, you see, I ended up, because of Billy and the way that the relationship that me and him have, I mean, if I rang him now, he'd go, "All right, Sam,"
or sausage.
Yeah, but he even when we're out, he'll say, "This is my son," and people actually think I am his son. You know what I mean?
They're just confused by the height difference.
I go along with it and the colour, we go along with it basically because that's how he does see me. He's only got daughters, and he does actually see me as a son. And I do see him. Even my little boy now, I say this, it's his granddad kind of thing.
Yeah, he's a good lad. He's a good guy, Billy.
But from that, I got work as well, like you with your Instagram and stuff. We ended up doing we did Nick Knowles' Big Ass Clear Out, which was for Channel 5 or ITV or something like that. I did the I was on the credits at the end. I can't remember what I was down as, electrical advisor or something.
Okay.
For there was 2. I did Annika Rice. So Annika Rice came back with a little 3-part thing. So I did the electrical advising on that, and it's changing rooms. So when changing rooms come back a couple of years ago, through the people that I know within that industry, I didn't have to go on the jobs, but what they would do is they send me pictures of the property, and I would have to sort of say, if I was an electrician coming to the job, what would I pick up? So they know how much money needed to be spent. So I'd say the earth wants bonding, that you need your earthing doing, your gas, your water, you need a new fuse board for it to come up to the regs. So I did all that, So from doing that and costing me money and then also volunteering a lot for that, I have made money in different other ways, you see. So.
Well, that's interesting because that's something I always try and get across, especially to young people trying to get into the industry. I'm like, just because you're going to be an electrician doesn't just mean you're going to be working domestic forever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the doors it can open, like you've just said, and for you as well, go with how your social media is built up and how that pays into you. And
there's loads of avenues. Like, I don't think it's really spoken about enough, and like with colleges, a lot of kids don't really know, which is why social media has been quite good, I suppose, because we are exposed to a lot more. You know, a lot's changed since I came into the industry with solar and all the renewable side of things. None of that was really. It was just sort of starting when I came into the industry, and we never touched it. But you know, that offers some great, really lucrative work for people now. But likewise, around the world, you know, this trade can take you anywhere. You might have to just tweak your qualifications a little bit, but you can go, you know, working offshore, where you're going to make great money. If you really want a rubbish life, I got a friend of mine who used to go and work in the mines it was Australia or New Zealand. And he used to strip by night as well. Really weird. But
wow. Not cable stripping.
Yeah. And he used to make really good money working in these mines. It's really horrible and unsociable, but, you know, quite interesting.
I have seen things on social media, people going to Australia, like basic accommodation.
Yeah.
Like 4 days on, 4 days off, 12-hour days. Yeah. But they're earning, and they're not going to do it forever, but they're earning an absolute fortune.
Yeah, they'll go and do it for 2 or 3 years, and they come back and they're buying the house outright. Yeah. You know, it's crazy.
You've got to go that way. I think while you're young, I've noticed, like, I'm not on the tools a lot now, but I do notice that when I do go on the tools, even the other day, I was trying to tighten something up and I thought, Jesus, my hand's killing me. And I ended up having to push it and tighten it up that way. And, you know, it's like having carpal tunnel or something. Yeah. And I was thinking, if I was on the tools constantly now, I'd struggle. I think I'd struggle. And my eyesight, you know, I was like trying to connect something up and I was thinking, well, I need to buy these cheap glasses and do. But,
I have to check most things Chris does just because his eyesight is so crap.
I'll tell you what happened with that was 3 to 4 years ago, we always break up on Christmas Eve or the day before, depending on where it falls. So we'd set all the lads up jobs just for half a day, then they come back to the yard and wash the vans, clean the vans and off they go. So one of the lads who was an electrician, and I said to him, "I'll come here for this morning just to get and let's get it done quick." And he was doing an emergency light above a door. And it's ones where you pull out the thing and then you've got two little, well, no, I think it was the battery actually, and it had come off. So he was trying to put the little red and black in. I says, "Get on gear, let me do it." So I got up and I was like, I can't even see it. And that was when I thought, do you know what, it's a good job I'm not on the tools all the time now. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is while you're young, you need to make that. You know, I was in London when I was young for probably a good 3 to 4 years, made loads of money, but it completely destroyed my family life. But I made a lot of money that helped me set up for when I came back. Like you just said, it put a deposit down on a house. I bought my first 2 vans with it, all my tools, you know, but it was the graft of when you're younger to put you further instead when you're older.
I know there's probably brickies out there going, electricians, it's not a physical trade.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. You know, it is a physical trade, but you can't be physical forever as much as we'd like to be. But you can't, and that doesn't necessarily mean your career ends when your joints are giving out, because, I mean, you take, there's loads of people we've had on the shows whose career has changed, where they've gone into lecturing, they've gone into consultancy, all sorts of things, project management, and it's how the industry goes. It's how any industry, you've got to grow and change with it and plan for the future and do the best with what you can while you can.
I think a bit similar to you, really, Simon. Like I've always said to people, I don't think I'm going to do what I'm doing forever. Theo Webster Electrical Services, it's not a lifetime thing for me, in my opinion, because I don't think it's really. Like I had an injury at work 3.5 years ago, and I know that that's going to affect me later on in life. So I'm always, running my own business now. I'm using it as like a portfolio, really. So this is what I've been able to do on my own. So later on in life, I can go and work for a company, put myself in a position where I can actually project manage, director, whatever, and not be on the tools, but for somebody else.
Is that what you plan on doing?
That's yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think that's what the direction I want to go in. Yeah.
Do you mind me asking what the injury was?
Yeah, I broke my back. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's quite. I've spoken about it loads on loads of other places, but yeah. So I was working on a site January 2022. I sent my lads. I think I had 3 lads there at the time. I sent them home. I was just doing a quick walk around the job, picking up the last of the tools and things. Climbed onto the ladder to come down from the first floor, and the ladder slipped away, and I fell 4 meters onto concrete. Yeah, and broke my back in 3 places.
Wow.
Yeah, which was pretty naff.
So obviously you're thinking further down the line.
I'm quite lucky. You know, it affects me in some ways, but it's for the most part I'm okay. I've been quite lucky, really. But yeah, I know any sort of major injury like that, it does end up playing up as you get.
You'd hope for time off, wouldn't you?
Older. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't have much time off. No. If you were employed, you'd milk it, wouldn't you? I think it was 5 weeks after I did it, I was back on site 7 days a week. And 6 weeks after I'd gone back to work, I had a consultants meeting, and this guy's like examining me, and he's like, you're healing amazingly. You're doing really well. Like, your function's great. Your movement, you're getting stronger. He's like, you could probably start going back to work. And I'm like, mate, I started 6 weeks ago, 7 days. Well, they thought I was mad, but I was on site in like this strap-in back brace with rigid back on it, just working. I'm still on codeine, just working away. But I had people working for me, and it's really hard to run that from bed.
Yeah, you can't, can you?
Right, and at the same time, I got so bored. My God, daytime TV.
I could do an hour. If I ever have a sick day, I can do an hour of daytime TV, but before I'm done.
Yeah, at the time, my then wife was at home. She was working from home, so I was around her all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot cope with this. This is just horrendous.
I don't think people realise as well, when you do have your own business and it's, you've not got other people or other directors or people in the office, you do tend to completely always think about what's happening within your business, whether you've got lads working for you. So I can imagine what Theo was like while he's lying there, not being able to move, thinking, what are they doing? You've got lads that are always good, but you're always thinking, are they doing the job right? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? And
it's your income at the end of the day, your mortgage, your bills.
I've always had my phone. My phone's always next to my bed.
Yeah.
It's never on silent. I mean, it's on silent now, but for a reason. But it's I I remember I went to Australia on holiday, and we were there for quite a long time. And that's the only time I actually left my physical phone with one of the lads, because the only reason being is I thought, you've got such a massive time delay. I can't remember if it's behind or forward. By the time, it would be like the Matrix. By the time somebody's rang me and asked the problem will be solved, or the other way round. But even when I went to America on a family holiday, I had my phone all the time, I was on the phone. And I still do now, because it's not left me, even though I can say out of office on me and all that, but I've still got clients that will ring me, even though I know I'm on holiday, and I will answer,
I distinctly remember, when I was off on my honeymoon, we went on a 2-week cruise, and I'm answering my phone in various parts of the world about jobs and things. Yeah, it's crazy looking back.
But quite a lot of people won't understand.
It's hard to switch off.
If somebody's just worked for somebody all that time, they'll be like, well, I wouldn't do that. But it's hard to say.
It's different when you're in that scenario, isn't it? When it's your own business and you're building it, it's your baby.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop. It's not 9 to 5, is it?
No,
it's
definitely
24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
But the rewards are there as well.
Of course.
That's not to say you're going to be a multi-millionaire from starting up your business. That's not to say you can't, because people have done it. You look at some of these big companies, they've started from somewhere.
Yeah.
But the rewards are there. You have the freedom to be your own boss. If you've got your kids play or kids poorly or whatever, you can
nip off.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's ways of saving money. There are a lot of tax advantages to being self-employed or having your own business and things like that. But like you say, it's not for everyone, but it is, whether you're employed or own your own business, there's good and bad. And that's for everyone to figure out, isn't it?
Like you've just said, there's definitely flaws to being employed, and there's definitely flaws to being self-employed. You know, and it's the working the long hours. It's not knowing if you're going to get paid from that job or when you're going to get paid from that job. You know,
just go and unplug the lights like you told us earlier.
but then shouldn't have done. But then when you are employed and you're getting that wage, and you know that you could possibly go home and switch off and all that lot. Yeah. It's that happy balance that's really hard to get when you. And I see it with Theo now. He hasn't got that balance at the minute. I don't think. No.
But at the same time, my life's like a little bit different now. You know,
it is. But I think that what gets you through is solely your personality. I think the way you are.
I don't know where he's going with this.
No, I'm trying to give you some recognition here, mate.
Okay.
I see a lot of what you do and not how you work, but your work ethics is very much how I was. You know, possibly when at your age and younger, and I can see as well that it's gonna, like you're on about, that you want to be in this different role.
Yeah.
Anybody that follows you and is at that point where they could take on somebody like you, I don't think would have any qualms in taking on you.
Yeah.
Just because you can see when you watch your stuff exactly what you do, and like we was on about earlier, you know, you go out and make trunking bends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To me, that shows the quality of the standard that you want.
Yeah.
So for me I'd employ you tomorrow, mate. And at the end, you know, because I know that if I said to you, Theo, there's a big job there, we need to get that done, that job would be to the highest standard that it could be, which reflects back onto any company whatsoever.
Yeah, because I don't think so.
It's all right, mate.
I'm going to cry now.
Yeah. No, you just take the mickey out of me hair, you know.
Yeah, but that's important too, mate. You know. Come on. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few offers, but it's just I don't think it's the right time yet for me. Like, I've got a few things that I want to do.
I think you need quite a few years. My advice to you would be carry on as you are for as long as you can.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I plan on doing so. Yeah, it's one of those. It's like, you know what it's like. You fall in and out of love with it a lot along the way. Yeah. You know, running a business and the work sometimes as well. It's impossible to maintain a positive attitude all the time. And I try and sort of portray that with my Instagram. I'm not fake on there at all. It's all very real. You know, with my stories, I do them all day, every day. Yeah. And just to show people actually, you know, there's highs and there's massive lows that come with it as well, you know?
Yeah.
It's real life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what it is. Yeah. You know, it's not fake.
That, though. Yeah. People can sniff that out as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at people on social media, for the most part, if you can tell when people are talking out there, you know, and when they're faking it, and it's all, you know, something don't add up. But when you see someone who's in the thick of it, for good and bad, that's what makes people engage, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you want the followers, that's what gets you the followers. Yeah. You know, it really does get you the followers. Yeah. Because you're being real.
Yeah, you know, I've been doing it all through like some huge events in my life, and like I've always, you know, certainly for the last like 2.5 years, every single day almost been on camera, you know, no matter how I'm feeling, and sort of just said my bit about, you know, how I am for the day and whatever.
Which customers annoyed you? Or
yeah, you know, and I think that's quite important as well, because we're all going through that. You know, all these contractors. You know, you're going through divorce, you're going through, you know, loss or whatever. There's so many things going on that none of us talk about, and like you should though as well. Like,
we should.
There's one. So I lost my son back in 2018. Yeah, just before his due date, and it was really crap at the time and all this, and obviously. And I never spoke about it with anybody. It was a really freaking hard time, really hard to deal with, still is now. until I started speaking about it on site one day. And I tell you what, so many other people had been through the same thing and none of us spoke about it. And then it was just like suddenly you opened up this can of worms and we'd all been through these similar things. And it was like, yeah, it was a bit mad really, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're portrayed, aren't we, as contractors, as these roughy-tufty men, even though we've got a lot of women coming through, which is great. But I think when you do get a lot of guys together talking like that, you don't realise how many people, like you've just said, are in the same situation.
Yeah, definitely.
And with the mental health thing nowadays, you know, a lot of blokes are talking out now. And I think it's an amazing that we are doing that, not doing this just get on with it.
Yeah, just shove it under the carpet and pretend it's okay. Because realistically, you know, we're not. You know, you work in a highly stressful environment. You know, when you've then suddenly got all these things going on at home as well behind the scenes, it just makes it worse, and that's what's unfortunately pushing some people over the edge. And it's
definitely I'll take my hat off, especially for you to say that on camera and and in your own social media. Yeah. And it is needed for people to talk about it. We've spoken about this before. I've spoken about it numerous times with mental health episodes we've done on the show, and showing the real side for good and bad. Yeah. Bad being equally as important as the good, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course it is. It's all, you know, life lessons, business lessons. It's all plays a part. You know, you'll have been there the same as I have, you know, where you've been taken for big sums of money, and the effect that has on you is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. You know, I remember that, again, going back to that job during COVID, right after or before we started speaking on the house party thing. You know, that job ended up going sour. The main contractor was being taken for huge amounts of money, like serious amounts of money, which they obviously were then filtering out to everybody. And, you know, I got taken for loads of money on that. And as a 25, 26-year-old man, it was freaking really hard to get past that, you know, because they ended up liquidating the company. So I didn't even have anyone to get the money off of. You know, there was no one to chase. You know, I went down as a creditor on the liquidation, but HMRC, property, and something else, they always take priority. And normally that just consumes whatever money is in that business, gone straight away. So any contractors like ourselves, you don't even get a look in. And it's horrendous. And they get no, not at all. So I made sure all my lads got paid, wholesalers got paid, and I had a few years of some serious hard graft to get myself out of a hole. And
then you've got to go home and try and act normal with your missus and kids and stuff.
You know, they're aware of what's going on, but they don't really know what's going on, and it's freaking horrendous. It can, you know, like we said, you know, being self-employed and running a business has some absolutely fantastic things and perks.
Yeah,
but you've got the potential for an
some
absolute
big downfalls,
massive, But
it's bad that happens, and sadly, I hear about it quite a lot, where I think it was almost like a bit of a scam, where companies would open up, they'd take on a big job, they'd sub everything out, they'd get as much money as they can, liquidate the company, no one else gets paid. Directors change, companies change directors' names, or they'll set up a new company, or however it works, and they just go from one to the other. And whether that's a small company to a big company, people do it and are still doing it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And unfortunately, people like you guys sometimes bear the brunt of that.
I think the government cottoned on to that, and it is a lot harder, you know, for a company to go bust now and start up again.
They are tightening up. Yeah.
They've tightened up on the directors, because that's basically what it was.
Yeah, they were walking away with no consequences whatsoever, and leaving this absolute, you know, shitstorm behind them.
Yeah,
and everyone else is just left in their wake, and everyone else is suffering while they walk away and set up another business tomorrow.
Yeah, or they'd open it under their niece's name or something like that.
Yeah. And the trouble is, we're all in this industry, in this business, to make money. You know, we all want to have a good living. We all want to make money and have a nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, and it just gets harder and harder sometimes.
It does. There's no honesty, or very little honesty, and that's, I think, something like we could all really try and work on and actually bring back that. You know, we all price a project. Everyone knows what they're getting. It's pretty black and white. That's how it should be. nobody should have the ability and have that power to suddenly cripple 10 other companies because of their own greed.
And this is what I was on about. We was on about it. It was about retentions, you see, within the industry. We're lobbying to get rid of retentions, because the trouble with retentions are that I understand why they're there and why they were put there, to make a business come back if there was anything wrong within that 6 or 12 month period. But the trouble with them is if you go and rent a house, you have to pay a deposit. That deposit gets put in a bank or a government.
It's not the landlord's bank account. It's a professional bank security thing.
So if there's any discrepancies on when you leave, it has to be quite resilient. I don't know whether that's the right word, but basically the landlord has to put a case to not give you some of that money back. With a retention, what happens is it goes in that company's bank account. They make interest on it, and then you have to apply for that retention at the end of that period. At the end of that period, they could then delay it or be a problem. But there's no like real government back for it.
No.
So
I think that's a good point. Because that money remains within those companies. So that company then goes bust. Your retention is gone.
Lost.
Yeah. That's quite a good point. They should, obviously, you're saying they should try and abolish that, or at the very least, set up a scheme like this rental deposit, DPS or whatever it's called, where that money goes into a, company, which I'm assuming is probably an investment company of some sort.
Well, that interest they're getting. You think the bigger the retention, the bigger that interest and the compounded growth.
Yeah, like I say, 5% is pretty standard, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's 2.5 to 5 sometimes, but it's quite a lot. If you're doing £1 million job, that's a lot of money, isn't it? It's a hell of a lot of money. And
5%, that's higher than standard inflation, so they'll be growing significantly on that.
Yeah,
and how that compounds.
Yeah,
so you could see why some companies would not want it abolished, but it shouldn't be them.
It's mainly the people that aren't that bothered are the main contractors, the principal contractor, really, because it's them that's keeping it.
Yeah. And I suppose for the big companies, they're almost treating it like petty cash, where they're never using that money. They'll just one company to the next to keep those.
What gets
customers.
me though, it's always the contractors. So you try and keep a retention on a wholesaler.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You don't do that. You can't say to the wholesaler, we can't come to Scolmore and go,
want the money.
Can we have £100,000 worth of stuff, but we're going to keep a retention on
and your subcontractors.
Yeah, you'd go.
And everything.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always down to the contractor. It just doesn't seem fair.
So you're in a bit of a fight at the minute to try and get that changed.
Yeah, we've priced and won a job, and it's come up now that there's a 5% retention on it, but we're sort of sticking our heels in to say no, we're not having it. So, but I don't want to lose the job, and it's all right because after today I'll know anyway. We'll probably be on it. So. But yeah, it's hard because it's worth a lot of money. But we need to sort of stick our heels in and say, look, we're not having it. So I'll know in a few hours.
Yeah.
Whether you're coming to sub to us or not.
Theo, you were involved in Skill Electric, is that right? Some years ago.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know when that would have been. 2012. So obviously you do your local ones at your local colleges. Yeah, I always took part in those. Always did quite well. And I got through to regional once later on, which was at Bridgewater, which was like the closest massive college for us. I did the competition. I dropped a few points on something, so I came second place on that.
Out of how many people was that?
I don't know.
Because they're big numbers, aren't they?
It was quite a lot. It was a lot, and it was okay. I think I won £200 or something, and whatever. I don't know. I can't remember. It's so long ago. But
what kind of stuff did you have to do?
It's like a full. I think it was all PVC. I don't think there was steel. I can't remember. I've got photographs somewhere. So bubble sets and all sorts. You're manufacturing 50mm PVC trunking with miters and all this as well in a bay, consuming it, lighting. There was a lot of elements to it. And but you had like I'd say probably a 5mm tolerance. I don't know what it's like on the skill competitions now.
I couldn't tell you.
But yeah, so you had a tolerance you're working to. So you've got a set drawing and everything's, you know, even with like the location of your bends on your sets and everything. I came second place in that, and I thought nothing more of it. And then I got a random email one day from a guy at World Skills, which is like the next stage of it. And they were like, yeah, we'd really like you to try out for this World Skills competition. So I did. I went and tried out and just kept getting through. And like you get to the point where you're at 0mm tolerance on like, I'm talking like massive rigs. You know, like you've got a bay this size and you're kitting it out with intercom, fire alarm. You've got, you know, Cat 6, everything in there. So you're properly testing your skill and obviously all the containment systems as well. Mm-hmm. And just kept getting through to the point where actually I was then picked. I got to Squad UK, they call it, and then I got to Team UK, which is, you know, you eventually go on to another country and compete on behalf of the UK. Wow. So that year when I was doing it, it was going to Sao Paulo, Portugal.
Sao Paulo is Brazil.
Brazil, not
Brazil?
Portugal.
They speak
Brazil.
Portuguese.
There we go, that's the confusion. See, electrician, idiot.
Geography. You only drive around the country.
Yeah, but the UK.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you know, I got this place. I was really lucky. It was a really hard process, like seriously, really hard. I was flying over to Northern Ireland every other week, training with them, with an electrical expert, a guy called Keith Wade, and they were just like really fine tuning your conduit bending and everything. It was insane. It was like nothing I've ever done. A really good experience. The only reason I didn't actually go in the end was because my daughter was born 6 weeks early, and like that, just like a, you know, my wife had a double kidney infection, so she had sepsis, was dying, and likewise that passed on to my daughter. So C-section, all this sort of thing. So yeah, I ended up I dropped out, and obviously that I was quite sad about that at the time. I still am now because it would have been a great experience, but. You know, it's, like I say, family to a priority. Yeah. But yeah, amazing. Anyone who's got the potential to try, you know, do skill electric or even world skills, my God, I'd go for it. Yeah. It's so good. I
always hear about the standard of electrician that comes out of it. Yeah. That you go in as a good electrician, but you come out.
Well, if you're being taught like that, to do it to, you know, hone your bends and stuff like that.
Yeah, literally. Like I said, toward the end of the process, you're on a 0mm tolerance, and you know, so you very quickly can drop a lot of marks, you know, on your conduit and all this. So you really did become really good at it. Bear in mind at the time, you know, we're like anywhere. The lads were like 18 to 20, all of us. So yeah, it was a really great experience.
Yeah. It sets you up, doesn't it? Because, like you say, it pushed you to excel in your skills. But it also, if you're then going into employment after, I imagine from an employer point of view, you see 10 CVs for, and then one's got world skills or skill electric, you'd be like, I'm having that.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And we've had a few people come in on the show, both male and female, young electricians, and they're absolutely brilliant. Yeah. You know, it's amazing to see. Like what you're saying, like there's 0mm tolerance. Yeah. I've seen photos of some of these finalist boards, and I'm like, how are you even judging this? They are immaculate. Yeah. Like how are you measuring that?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, it's incredible. Like I was talking to Neil about it earlier. It's like something I'd love to get involved as now. I'm not saying as an electrical expert, but you know, I'd love to be involved on that because I think, you know, for what it did for me, to be able to then give that to the younger generations coming in now, like, be amazing. It's so good, and I think, you know, to be fair, it's probably responsible for why I like things to be a particular way now and everything else. And like I say, you know, working to a high standard, it's.
I think some of the prizes that come out of them are quite good as well, like money, tools, iPads.
Along the way, there's various different things that you can win. Yeah. You know, and competition's healthy, I think, as well. You know,
it sets you up if you're competing with other electricians and companies. Then,
well, it's like you just said, isn't it? If you was going on then to get a job somewhere else and you've got that on your CV, being an employer,
it's bigger around the rest of the world more than it is in the UK. So I think around the rest of the world, a lot of it is televised. But we seem to be really quiet on it in the UK. I'm not too sure, but quite a lot of them, if you go on and win, you get in MBEs, things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that.
Because if you're, what you've given for the UK, they call it the Trade Olympics.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I think something like 80 countries take part, or something like that. It's insane. It's honestly, in every trade, I'm talking like aircraft technicians, beauticians, everything. It's mad. Yeah.
Is that the closest you've ever come to being an Olympian then?
Yeah. God, yeah, look at me. You're like, Jesus. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because that other countries are doing it, because this is often an argument I hear sometimes, that the UK almost set the benchmark for electricians and electrical safety, but then a lot of people believe that other countries have almost overtaken us in terms of regulation, skills. And I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't comment on that because I've not worked abroad, so I don't really know, to be honest. I think as a country, we are heavily regulated.
I think we're the best. I've worked in Ireland,
safety-wise,
and I've worked in France. France. Electrics there, they just choose whatever colour they want.
Yeah.
I can remember going into a house and because it's all sort of it's like Copex.
Everything. Yeah.
I can remember taking a socket front off, and I was thinking, well, I've got violet there, I've got white, and I've got orange. So you had to work out, and you go to their B&Qs or whatever it is there.
Brico in France, isn't it?
And they've got wire, or singles wire, all on these drums, and there's every colour you can think of, and you just think, what colour do you want to,
whatever's cheapest on the day.
I mean, obviously they must have a standard, but this was that we were ripping out. I was thinking, oh God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly think our standard of electrical in the UK is the best in the world. I really do. It's hard sometimes because, like we were talking about earlier, we're regulated by the governing bodies that we have to be under, and being registered again. So we're getting back to, being a little bit strict on stuff. But in the end, that will make us. So when all these older fellas and people like myself are starting to retire, and you've got these younger generation that's come through on that skill level, it should be absolutely top notch.
Yeah.
Although we are losing, like I said before, we are losing some of the knowledge of the older stuff, but the older stuff will be obsolete soon. So, the new generation of AI and all that kind of stuff coming through, and the new Scolmore fuse board that does the things like the fire that we've painted in this.
Thanks for that.
Do we get royalties on it?
I don't know.
No, we'll get you a chocolate bar.
But yeah, I do honestly think we've got the best electrical systems within the in the UK.
Yeah.
Probably, I know Germany's. I've done quite a few stuff that's come over from Germany, and theirs is like top notch. But you always get the Germans coming over to wire it in. We put a feed there, and then they do everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think we've got some of the best here.
Yeah. So guys, thanks for coming down or up, depending on how you look at it, from you guys travelling up and down the country. Really appreciate you coming in, and it's nice to meet you in person. As we said, spoke to you guys both on the channel 5 years ago during COVID through some dodgy app. Not as dodgy as that sounds. But no, it's been a pleasure having you both come down.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot.
So, as always, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and check these guys out. Theo's blossoming on social media, so...
Yeah, make sure you follow Theo Webster Electrical, and of course, click the link in my bio for Jobber, where you get 14-day free trial and 20% off for the first 6 months. I'm sorry, I'm not.
That's fine, that's the perfect ending, isn't it?